Hi. Hi, everybody. My name is Duncan. I'm a Browns fan from North Carolina. That's why this channel and this series is going to be called A Lonely Browns Fan. And really, for anybody that's watching this, wants to get to know why I'm doing this, I don't have anybody to talk Browns football with. Um, there aren't very many fans down here. My dad is from Ohio. That's where I get my fandom from. But I don't really got anybody to talk with about it. And so I figured I'd just start making these videos and this series to talk about the games, roster moves, draft decisions, the whole 9 yards that comes with a season of Browns football from now into the future. And I think I'm going to enjoy it. And hopefully, if anybody sees this, they maybe stick around to listen to what I have to say. If you wouldn't mind giving me a bit of your time. Um, and, leave a comment and tell me what you think about any points I brought up, things that you saw differently about the game, opinions on a ton of different things. I want to make a space where I can hear and talk to other Browns fans about this team that we all love so much. I want to get right into the game. This was last week's game. This was Shedeur Sanders' first NFL start. The Browns won 24 over the Las Vegas Raiders 10, and the Brownies improved to 3-8 on the year. What does it really mean for the season? Are playoff hopes alive? No, not really. I don't think so. But we want to see development, right? We drafted Dylan Gabriel. We drafted Shedeur Sanders. We want to find a quarterback, and today Sanders got his chance. And for the most part, I think that it was fine. I think that he had a couple of really good plays, one of which we're going to look at more in depth. I think that he had one bad play, which was the interception that he threw. We're also going to look at that in depth and why I don't think it's too huge of a deal. But overall, the game was fine. He was 11 of 20, 209 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Quinshon Judkins obviously had those two direct snap touchdowns in the red zone. So I think for the most part it was a game that the defense carried the day on, and Shedeur Sanders played well enough as a rookie to make sure that he didn't mess anything up too bad, and you can win the game. I think the Browns can win a lot of games with that formula. I want to go ahead and get into the first kind of best play that Shedeur Sanders had, and it came early in the game. 3rd and 8 from our own 46. We were up 7-0, given the initial direct snap touchdown from Quinshon Judkins. Less than 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Got to get 8 yards or more to keep the drive going so that we don't have to punt the football. And this play was really wonderful. I'm going to show you guys a series of screen caps that I took from the NFL All 22 film that I've paid to have access to for a while because I like watching the games and kind of studying tape. I never played. I'm not a coach. I just like looking and trying to understand what's going on. Hopefully you all will be able to tell me if I'm missing something, if I'm misunderstanding a defensive coverage or a route tree or whatever it is. But I do want to get into this play. This is a screenshot taken for probably around 1.5 to 2 seconds after the ball was snapped. The Raiders brought a 6-man rush. They had 5 defenders back in coverage, all of which were on man. I went ahead and drew the dark purple as the 6 Raiders that were rushing the quarterback, just in case you have a hard time counting. I'm a little bit colorblind, so I figured I'd try and include this just because it can help me sometimes in actually understanding where the people are precisely and where they're going to go. I know that a lot of people have red-green issues. I've got kind of generalized stuff, so I use the pink because it's the stuff that I can see the best. I hope you all are able to see it too. What we're looking at here in particular is this screenshot specifically shows Shedeur Sanders rolling out to the right and Isaiah Bond beating his man deep. I have another image here, which is the end zone view, which also is from the NFL Pro All 22 kind of film room that you can pay money to get, which I'm fortunate enough to have the ability to do. Why I really like this shot here is that I think it shows a couple of things. Number one, at the top of the screen, it shows that the Raiders are in fact in man coverage. Number 32 is staring down at Harold Fannin Jr., who's leaking out off the offensive line into his own little route. Number 2, it shows Isaiah Bond absolutely torching number 30 for the Raiders. I mean, he's so fast. And to have the ability to get him into space or on routes where there isn't any safety help, It's just him and whoever he's got. Most guys he can run past. And so if you have a quarterback that can either have the time from an offensive line perspective or make the time from a scrambling perspective like we see here, it can be a really difficult threat to deal with. The third thing that I want to point out here is the sixth rusher, the Las Vegas Raiders number 9, who had a free release through the offensive line. This angle kind of shows, obviously, Shedeur Sanders is already in motion, but he takes a good angle and has the athleticism to get away from this, roll out to the right, and eventually make this play. This next one here is a still image from right before he throws it. It shows pretty clearly at the far left of your screen, Isaiah Bond. He's got 2 yards of space plus on his defender. He's absolutely cooked him. And these other pink arrows are kind of what the other 4 eligible receivers have done on this play to get themselves open. So Jerome Ford leaks out after doing a chip block on one of the Raiders, and he starts rolling to the right to go with Shedeur. Harold Fannin Jr., number 44, same thing. Jerry Jeudy's running a deep crossing route against number 26 at the bottom left corner of your screen, and Cedric Tillman's in the top left. I couldn't quite tell if he was running a deep curl or a deep out route. Either way, it doesn't matter because Shedeur Sanders lays it on Isaiah Bond here beautifully. This is from behind. The image on the left is him throwing it. I like this picture because it does show the fact that he's actively running to the right. He never sets his feet. He does a jump throw while being pressured by Max Crosby, one of the best defensive edges in all of football. His first NFL start. This is a really good play. The second picture, the one on the right, shows the ball obviously coming down towards Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond is still wide ass open. And this ball, if you haven't got the chance to look through the highlights of the game, maybe if you were only listening to it, if you only read about it, I'll encourage you greatly. Go watch the highlights of the game and focus on this play. Watch this ball. Because rolling to the right, jump throw from the 35-yard line to around the 10, it hits Isaiah Bond perfectly in stride. It's a tight spiral. Isaiah Bond has to adjust to it a tiny bit because it's a little bit more to the right than maybe Shedeur would want it, but it's a great ball. It's just genuinely, it doesn't matter what quarterback in all of football makes that play. That's a play that you look at the end of the week and say, wow, that's one of the best passes of the weekend. And it was. It was a brilliant play. It got us down to 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. Quinshon Judkins punched in his second Wildcat touchdown of the day. That was controversial in some way. I want to talk about the media reaction to the game towards the end of this video. But this play set us up to be in the position to be up 14-0 on the Raiders. And with how good our defense was, once I saw that, I really didn't think that the Raiders had any chance in this game. This was his best play of his first start by far. It's the best play that he's had in the NFL by far. Obviously, he's only had a little bit of action against the Ravens, and now a full start against the Raiders. He played very well, especially on this particular play, and I did like another rollout play while we're talking about it. I don't know for sure if it was a run action pass or if it was a scramble, but later on in the game, there's a play where he hits a deep crossing route to Jerry Jeudy, which Jerry Jeudy then runs up the sideline, does a dead leg move, and gets the ball punched out from behind. But if you ignore that part and focus strictly on Shedeur's part, it was another very good throw where he rolls out, he sets his feet, delivers it on time, on target for a receiver that has yards to make a play. Those 2 plays, but this one in particular, were really good to see for an offense that has been struggling with pushing the ball down the field. It was really nice to see, and I also don't want to underestimate just how important his height is in being able and willing to throw the ball down the field. Obviously, he's taller than Dillon Gabriel. I think that makes a big difference when it comes to the desire to actually make deep throws. I loved this play. This play showed a lot of potential and just natural arm talent. I think that this play bodes well. Obviously, it's just one game. we're going to move from this play, which was easily his best, like I just said, into what was also his worst play. Ironically, they were consecutive pass attempts over different drives, which I think shows the dichotomy that rookie quarterbacks can go through. Um, but this play here, this is his interception play. It's 1st and 10 from our own 38. We're up 14 to nothing with 11 and a half minutes to go in the second quarter. This screenshot, the light pink lines again are showing the routes that our receivers are going to be running. The dark purple line is showing the general movement that the Las Vegas defender is going to make in order to pick off this ball. What's important here, it's a 2 running back set. Dylan Sampson is going to run out into the left. Quinshon Judkins is going to run out into the right. Jerry Jeudy's at the top of your screen. Cedric Tillman, bottom of your screen. They're both going to run 7-yard curl routes. David Njoku's lined up alongside the offensive line. He takes a little delay and then ends up running about a 5-yard curl-ish route. I'm not exactly sure what to call it. He kind of just ends up in the middle of the field about 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage. The thing that's important here, and what I'm going to emphasize on the next couple of images, is Shedeur Sanders' eye placement and the eye placement of the defenders. This is a little bit into the play. You can see the 2 running backs have made their way out to the side. You can see David Njoku is about 5 yards away from the offensive line. Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman are working on their curl routes. The notable thing here, where the dark purple lines have been drawn, the ones from his head leaving, it's trying to illustrate the fact that he is staring down Shedeur Sanders this entire time. He's moved over a little bit towards the flat to where Dylan Sampson's route is going to be. He doesn't really care about that. He's looking at Shedeur the entire time. There at his feet, it shows where he's going to go. That's where he jumps to get in front of this route that Jerry Jeudy is running. And this kind of end zone camera, I think, really shows the rookie mistake aspect of this interception. This screenshot is taken in the film literally right after Shedeur catches the ball from the snap. He's still in his drop back steps, but his head the entire time, from here until he throws it, he's looking right down the barrel between the offensive lineman at that little gap between 45 and 49 where Jerry Jeudy is going to be open. And the problem with this is that he's looking at the exact same spot the entire time. 45, the linebacker, he sees it. 49, even though he's moving out to his right to cover Dylan Sampson there, he's also staring at Shedeur the entire time. They know where he's going to throw this ball because he hasn't shown anybody any indication that he's going to throw it anywhere else. It makes it a pretty easy interception. He drops off towards the flat and then jumps right back in front of it once Shedeur throws it. It never makes it to Jerry Jeudy. It gets picked off. Was it a devastating interception? Of course not. They only scored 10 points. We beat them by 2 touchdowns. I view this as really just a rookie mistake. Somebody coming up to the line of scrimmage and maybe already determining where they're going to go with the football. Or maybe he just didn't feel and understand properly that the defender that ended up picking off the ball wasn't going as far away as he thought. That could be part of it. I think it's more likely the fact that he came up, stared down Jerry Jeudy the entire way, which gives away where he's going with the football. These are still professional players, even though it's the Raiders. They're going to be able to pick that off. I think it's a rookie mistake. I think it's coachable. I expect it to be something that he can develop and work on throughout the course of the rest of the season. And, it's an interception. Of course, it's bad. You never want to turn the ball over, but it feels fixable to me. It's not something that I'm going to go into panic mode about. Those are, to me, the 2 most important plays that Shedeur Sanders had. I know I didn't touch on the touchdown. It was a screen pass to Dylan Sampson. Sampson showed a good burst of speed through some good blocking, 60-some yards to the house. That, to me, is not a play that I I value super highly in looking at how he played as a fan for his first start. Um, Obviously, it's good that he hit him. It's good that Dylan Sampson had the speed to make it all the way down there, and that the blocking was good enough to allow him the lane to do so, but it's not that important to me. He had a couple of overthrows. He had a couple of times where he maybe the timing wasn't perfect in the pocket. A lot of that, I think, has to do with the lack of reps that he's had with the first team players, and, just still being a rookie. Overall, I think we covered his best play, his worst play. We saw the potential. We saw a couple of things that maybe need to be improved, and I'm excited to see what he does next time out against the Niners. I do want to touch quickly on the defense, who I know should be talked about more than quickly in this game, considering they really carried the day. 10 sacks, forced a turnover, just held them to 10 points. I mean, it was a very dominant display against what is also a very bad team. Um, Myles Garrett picked up another 3 sacks. Really looking forward to him breaking the single season sack record. He only has to get 5 more sacks through 6 more games to do so. I fully expect him to do it. I've been very impressed with the rookies Mason Graham and Carson Schwessinger. Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of the University of Michigan. Schwess, middle linebacker out of UCLA. They've played great. Mason Graham is an absolute warlord in the middle of that defensive line. He just eats space. Doesn't matter if you single him up or double team him. The guy doesn't move. He might not always win, but he's very rarely getting pushed back. And I think that that's had a lot to do with Myles Garrett's success, getting the gaudy sack numbers that he's had this year, because quarterbacks haven't really had a ton of room to step up into the pocket or away against this Browns defensive line. Schlesinger, I swear every time anything happens, he's out there making the tackle. He's looked really good. I never would have expected a guy that was playing at UCLA to be that good, and I know that tons of talent comes from a bunch of non-traditional football schools, you know, but man, I mean he's been just great over the middle. Playing middle linebacker on a defense that's full of first round talent and veterans, and you're out there playing middle linebacker like you've been there for 5 seasons in your rookie year is very impressive. I think that they're the reason that we won this game. They forced a ton of 3-and-outs, they forced a ton of punts, they had the 10 sacks, like I already mentioned. They deserve a ton of credit, and I think what this kind of game emphasized is just how many games could the Browns have won over this year and last year with this elite defense if they had anything resembling competent quarterback play. That isn't to say that the offensive line doesn't have some issues. That isn't to say that we haven't had a kind of a lack of offensive weaponry over the past few seasons. But man, if you put a quarterback in here that could be league average, perform at a league average level, this defense would win you a ton of football games, man. They are fantastic. The defense being that good is really going to lead me into the final thing that I wanted to talk about surrounding Shedeur Sanders' first NFL start, which is kind of the media coverage of it, especially post game over the few days. I'm recording this on November 29th, the night of, the day before tomorrow's game against the 49ers, and getting to kind of hear and listen to and watch social media coverage, social media posts, podcasts, mainstream television, sports opinions. I haven't liked a ton of what I've seen regarding the coverage of the game. I think that on social media, things are very, he either everything he touches turns to gold or he can't do anything right at all. I think that there's been a lot of people in the media that have been talking about the Browns following this Shedeur Sanders debut that clearly have not watched very much Browns football. There's been a lot of fans that have been complaining about things regarding Shedeur that have also clearly not watched very much Browns football. in my opinion. And I did just want to talk about that. So I went digging from Pro Football Reference, and forgive me for the quality of this graphic here. I am not a graphic designer. I work at a grocery store. Um, but bear with me because I do think that these are interesting numbers. Um, what we have here is a comparison between Shedeur Sanders' quarterback stats in the game against the Raiders and the average quarterback statistics of the 16 quarterbacks that made their NFL starting debut since Eric Zier's win in 1995. Because online, especially, there was a lot of this touting of the statistic that Shedeur Sanders is the first Browns quarterback to win his first NFL start in 30 years. And that is true. But I was wondering, why is it true? Did he play that much better than all of those quarterbacks? I mean, I was alive and remember watching some of the games. I was only born in 2001 though. I don't remember a bunch of the ones that happened in the early 2000s. I certainly don't remember the ones that happened in the 90s. So, what was it? So I went back and I grabbed all the numbers, I averaged them out, and this is what it came up with. Shedeur Sanders, his completion percentage, he went 11 for 20, it was 55%. Averaging out those 16 quarterbacks for the Browns that made their first NFL start, they had 58%. The pass yardage, about the same. 1 touchdown to 1.2, so call it 1. 1 turnover to 1.8, so call it 2. Realistically, what the numbers here prove is that Shedeur Sanders played a slightly above average game compared to all of the quarterbacks that did not win their first NFL start since 1995. Shedeur Sanders' numbers are basically identical, except that he had, on average, call it 1 less turnover. And that's a big deal because obviously turnovers get you beat. So he played a relatively clean game. They didn't ask him to do a lot. Had the 1 touchdown, had the 1 interception. We already talked about that stuff earlier. I just wanted to look through and see if narratively it lined up with what people were saying. And kind of the what is, in my opinion, ridiculous level of homerism towards the guy that may be a reaction to the ridiculous level of hatred towards the guy. I think that he has polarizing potential. People argued about how much potential he had coming out of Colorado, into the draft slide, into being picked by the Browns, and then being the starting 4th string quarterback, and then 3rd string, and then 2nd string, and now he's here and he finally makes his starting debut. And he played an average Browns quarterback first start game. And I'm happy about that, because what it did was it gave us the win. But what gave us the win was not Shedeur Sanders. What gave us the win was the Browns' defense. On the left side is our defensive stats from the game against the Las Vegas Raiders. On the right side are the defensive stats from those 16 quarterbacks that made their first NFL starts. On average, those defenses for those starting quarterbacks were giving up 400 yards a game, getting 1 sack, and 1 turnover forced. And at the top, you can see the scoreline. They were giving up an average of 25.5 points. The defense against the Raiders was fantastic. They gave up 130 yards less than the average that we just talked about. They forced the same amount of turnovers, but they had 10 sacks. It was a ridiculously dominant performance by the defense against the Raiders. And I suppose that my argument here of looking through these numbers and kind of realizing what I feel like they meant is that I think that a lot of those Browns quarterbacks that lost their NFL starting debut, if they had played that game against those Raiders with this team, they would have won it. I believe that if Dylan Gabriel's first NFL start was not against the Vikings in London, but was against those Las Vegas Raiders last Sunday, I think that Dylan Gabriel would have broken the record. If we had drafted Baker Mayfield in the draft last year and brought him in, and he made his first NFL start against those Raiders, I believe that he would have won. I think that it's pretty clear that the defense performed so much better than those other quarterbacks had the benefit of that, you know, it's hard for me to sit there and read a bunch of online rhetoric about just how great Shedeur Sanders was. I'm not trying to come off as a hater. I'd love to hear you all's opinion on these numbers. Do you think it's nothing? Do you think it's something? I felt like I tried to do my best to look up fair statistical data of what all of those quarterbacks that lost their first start had, and then what Shedeur had against the Raiders on Sunday. Let me know what you think. I'm of the opinion that Shedeur played a fine game for a quarterback. He didn't mess anything up too badly, and our defense beat the hell out of a bad team. That's really the way that I feel about it. I think that the analysis that, oh, he played terribly, the screen pass meant nothing, and the Isaiah Bond rollout was lucky, all that stuff's nonsense. The guy's clearly got talent. He has potential. Can it be nurtured into something greater? All of the stuff that is on the other end of the spectrum that, oh, Shedeur is the only reason the Browns won the football game, and you see, he finally started, and look what happened, you gotta win. Slow down, right? I think it's pretty clear to anybody that watched the game or looks at these numbers, in my opinion, that that's also not true. I think there is a happy medium where he has potential, he played okay, the defense did their job. And so where does that leave us going into tomorrow's game against the 49ers? I have hope for Shedeur Sanders' progress, and I also want to see snow angel celebrations after sacks, particularly by Myles Garrett. The 49ers are coming to Cleveland. It's supposed to be a snowy, bad weather game, an afternoon game, unfortunately. I wish it was a night game, because those snow globe games, man, oh my gosh, they're amazing to watch, and I hope I get the chance to go to one someday. But I have hope for his improvement. I want to see some better timing with the receivers after yet another week of practicing and getting all of the first team reps. I want to see not I don't want to see anything spectacular, I guess is what I mean to say. I don't need to see 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, especially not against a San Francisco defense that Robert Saleh has humming despite all of the injuries. They're a very good defense. I believe that this will be a defensive battle in the snow, a tough running game between Christian McCaffrey and Quinshon Judkins, and hopefully Shedeur Sanders can make enough plays to put our defense in a position to win us the football game. That's what I want to see. I want to see him make a couple of crucial throws on third downs or a touchdown throw, something of that nature that says, hey, he does have that dog in him. He does have that kind of winning DNA that his pops had, right? So, with all that being said, I think that he played fine. I think that the defense won the game. I think that we're going to have a tough matchup against the 49ers, but a winnable one, especially if our defense can shut Christian McCaffrey down and is able to really make Brock Purdy do a lot of the heavy lifting in a bad weather game. I think this is winnable in that situation, especially if Shedeur and the offense can control some clock and can make a couple of big plays here and there when they need to. I'm really excited to watch the game tomorrow. I hope that you guys are too. Um, it's exciting to have something to even analyze as Browns fans these days because it's been such a long and terrible season. Um, but to anybody that stuck around the whole way through the video, I thank you very much. Again, my name is Duncan. I'm from North Carolina. I love this team. I hope that you all love this team, whether you're a Browns fan, whether you're a Shedeur fan, whether you're a Shedeur hater. Um, Let me know what you think. Let me know about how you felt like he played. Let me know your thoughts on the defense and just how good you think we can be if we have good offensive play. Let me know what you thought of those statistics that I went through and grabbed and averaged out. That took me a while to find all 16 of those guys' first NFL starts and to do the math for it. And I thought that it was interesting to see that he played a kind of statistically average game, but he was finally the one that broke that losing streak. I got a lot of hope for it. I think he has a lot of potential, and I hope that he has until the end of the season for us and the Browns organization to really see what we have here. Thank you again for watching. Leave a comment about anything that you found interesting or that you would like to tell me your thoughts. Love you guys. Hope you're all doing well, staying safe, staying warm, and I'll talk to you guys next week after this 49ers game. See ya.